Hey, I'm Daniel Norton here in my studio in New York City with Erica.
Hi.
And today we're gonna make some portraits on a white background. So this is the bread and butter of photographers, right? We shoot stuff on white backgrounds all the time. But one thing that you have to be aware of is if you're shooting, especially for, let's say, the internet where they're going to put it on a web page, you need that white to be what sometimes referred to as commercial white or blown out white. You need to be like really, really bright white. And at the same time, you don't want to have your subject lose contrast because you're basically flaring back from it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, how to set that up, and yeah, let's get to it. So let's do the background first. This is the kind of thing that if you have a bunch of portraits to make, you can set this part up anyways before they even get there. So let me show you. Number one, I have two lights back here. I have Profoto B1x's. I have two of them, as I said. Ideally, because I'm going to get that question, I know, can you do it with one light? If you put it in the middle, you can, and it also depends on how much of the subject you're going to try to show. Because the deal with the background is you need it to be as even as possible. That's going to make life a lot easier for you if your background's even. So having two lights allows for that. And what you want to do is take the light and point it to the opposite side that it is on. So this light is actually pointing to here, and this light is pointing to here. That's going to create a more even spread. You don't want to point them here, like each one to there, because then you'll get a dead spot in the middle. With just the bare reflectors, I'm kind of making this more challenging. This is going to be harder. Umbrellas are going to make your life a lot easier, or bouncing it in V-flats, even softboxes, big softboxes to a certain extent will help make it more even. But I'm doing this kind of raw head to kind of show you it can be done just very simply. So we'll do this first. I'm going to get a nice clean white background, and then we'll add a light for our subject, Erica. Nope, I still need you off the background. I know, she likes being on the background, but. So I've filled my frame with the whole white background because I want to have enough space to move around. I'm using a Profoto system here. I'm putting the lights in TTL. So my background lights are both set to my C group. So I'm going to turn off everything but my C group, and I'm in TTL. And if you saw my video on metering, you know what's about to happen, but we're gonna do it anyways. We got a gray background, right? And we can see, like I said, with this kind of reflector, it's not going to be perfectly even. What we're really concerned with is the corners, because we want to make sure that those get white. This obviously is going to be easy to get white in the center. So we're looking down here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over to my exposure slider, and I am going to drag the exposure over until I get white. And I actually figure it's going to be at least 4 stops. Yeah, that's pretty good. Even that's not completely white. Like if you look at the numbers there, you can see that they're not quite 255. We want 255 across the board. So we know we're going to need at least 4 stops. Now, how did I know that? Well, we're creating kind of a darkish gray, right? An 18% gray with TTL. Just to even get it to white, we're going to have to give it a couple of stops. And then we want to blow it out, probably 3 stops. Then we got to blow it out, so a little extra. So I'm actually just going to come in now and switch to manual. That's just the easiest way to do it at this point. And I'm going to add 5 stops. I'm going to actually go further than I need to, and I'll show you guys once we get the subject in how we can adjust it. I think 5 stops is going to be too much, but we got it at 5 stops now. We'll take a peek here. Again, I'm only really concerned with my corners. Yeah, so I'm 255 here. And what you can do is, I'll leave it up. I think this is actually the darkest corner. I will leave it in the corner there, and I'm going to now just dial down a bit. I'll go down half a stop. I mean, you could do it the opposite too, and you could have gone 4 stops and then dial it up, but yeah, it looks like I'm still at 255 on all my corners, so I can even go down a little bit more. You basically want it to be, I knocked it down a third more of a stop. You want it to be basically blown out white, but only as blown out as, as it needs to be. Oh, look, that one has a 254 in it. So does that one. Okay, so I'm gonna go up. And there we go. Now, assuming you're always using the same kind of paper, the same color paper, color white, because there's lots of different whites, right? You can theoretically get a system down here, like you do use TTL, then 4.5 stops is correct. But the main issue here is that the space you're in is going to make a difference. I'm in a space where light bounces around like crazy, so I'm probably in a room with dark wood floors and a low ceiling or whatever. It might not be the exact same setup. So this is why I do this test every time. But now we have a clean white background, so let's bring Erica in. Erica, yay. Crowd goes wild. All right, so we got Erica in there now. And we're gonna now just make an exposure with her in there, because what we're looking for is to see how much of this light is gonna possibly flare forward, because we don't want to flare forward into the lens. So I'm gonna set my focus spot and boom. Okay, I knew that she'd have light on her because of the space, clearly, but what we're looking for is for it to not be completely blown out. Yeah, that's not so bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. So for instance, if I had gone, I guess I probably should have done that. So if I had gone, let's say 5 stops, let's go back up one more stop just to show you guys the difference. If I go 5 stops, we can see she's even brighter, which in and of itself is kind of a cool look. But now we're getting this like softness. Like if you look at the 2 images, we can see that this one has a bit of softness to it. I mean, it's still sharp, but it has that kind of flare going on, which you may or may not like. It's certainly an option, and if you only had 2 lights, right, you could get away with it. It's pretty good, right? But we want to add a little contrast. I want this to be a little punchier, a little contrast here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back down on that light. So I make sure you remember to do that. I'm going to turn that light off for a second, or those lights off, I should say. I'm going to switch on my A group, which is the one right in front of Erica in a beauty dish. Turn that guy on. I'm going to go back to TTL. Now, if you don't have TTL, obviously you can just use a handheld meter. And we're going to get a TTL exposure for the front light. That's pretty good. Taking into consideration that this is going to be combined with the other light, so it's going to be a little bit brighter. That's pretty good. I might actually just drop it a smidge, so I'm going to switch back to manual. I'm going to drop the A light 2/10. I'm going to turn my C light back on. This is basically flavoring here. We're going to kind of adjust. Good. And now what we've got is an image with a really clean white background. She's super crisp, and we definitely, and if you notice the difference of them both being exposed, see how this one has that softness? And then this one has a nice crispness to it, which is basically the beauty dish, right? The beauty dish is specular. We're getting these like nice highlights that we like versus that big diffuse look. So this is the look I like, so this is what I'm gonna go with. Let's shoot a few. Good, good. Good. Nice and simple, just like that. And what's nice about this is she's basically filled in, right? So she can move around, because sometimes when we use a beauty dish or whatever, you get these like hard shadows, which we're still getting, of course, but look at how nicely filled they are. And that's because the room is being filled with light. So super simple. The background is crazy even, right? But she, of course, has fall off on her body because it's the beauty dish in the front. And it just looks really nice. Let's do just one more. We'll do a horizontal one. I always do a horizontal at some point. Okay, we're set up horizontal here. This is the thumbnail. Oop. It may not work as well for this outfit. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
I can pull it up.
That is pretty good, yeah. Pull it up a little bit. Because we want to see the outfit so it doesn't look like she's one of those ads where it's like for shampoo where you're in the shower. Yeah, there we go. There we go, that's nice. Just like that. And there we go. And there you go, guys. That's one reason why we set it up right from the beginning with this super clean white, right? If we look at this, no matter how we frame ourselves up, we're still going to be super white around the edges of the frame. Set up first. Before you get a subject in there, get yourself framed up as wide as you think you're going to get. Make sure it's 255 all over. You'll get that nice, clean, white background. Then add your subject. You can light them however you want at that point. So I'm going to put Erica's information in the description, guys, so you can follow her. Be sure to follow me, Daniel Norton Photographer. Subscribe to Adorama TV and ring the bell so you get all the notifications. And I'll see you next time on set.